giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Wake up, wake up. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! It's Friday. And we got a long, jam-packed one for you. Not just this morning, but later on too. I'll touch on that later on in the show. Today we're going to decode the Cowboys running back interest. I've got 3 dark horse candidates that the Cowboys have shown that they have interest in. So I want to talk about those guys. We'll also talk about the top of the draft as well. Plus we got Patrick No C Walker coming through later for the scientific method. We will be talking about some draft day superlatives, and we'll get his opinion, his take, whatever you want to call it, on the newest edition of the Dallas Cowboys. And, I'm going to touch back on that a little bit too. We didn't go all the way in on said new edition, but there is something that you should be paying attention to about that player that may keep this guy around. So let's not just scoff at it just yet. But good morning, Bomb Squad. Man, as you guys can see, shouts out to the wife. He got this one amazing dad thing still running on caffeine and a prayer for you guys this morning. But we got a long, awesome Friday ready for y'all. We got today's morning show. Like I said, Pat's coming through later on tonight officially, unless something changes, because something did change last week. We have not that one.
It ain't no thing.
That one.
Thing. It's what I did the best. I caught that crib.
I'm hyped. I'm really hyped for that later. The round table will get together 7 Eastern-ish. 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, when we will be chatting it up all Cowboys. So that'll be fun. If y'all tuned in on Wednesday, we saw Vach and Foots have their battles. We'll probably carry that over to Wednesday's show. But first, we're teeing it up with this morning's show, talking about running backs, a little bit on the clock type series. We're not going to really dive too much into the top guys because we've been talking about them, I feel like, the entire draft. I want to kind of get into some of the dudes that aren't really being featured set on this show or maybe on others, but we will talk about that today. So let's get into a Bomb Squad. Start this thing.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you real quick, or again, about Royce Freeman. He was signed, Tuesday? Has it been that many days? He was signed earlier in the week, and, you could go look across the Twitter sphere and all types of varying opinions. You got some people that, they like the signing. Some people say, whatever. Signed to a 1-year deal, and at first glance, there was a whole lot of, it can't body. You can scoff at it and keep it moving. But I'm here to tell you that there is an underrated element that could keep Royce Freeman around that you should not scoff at. I'm not talking about his power, right? 6 foot, 230 pounds. He automatically steps in right now, and he's your top power guy on the team, a proven power guy in this league. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is this. His most recent special teams history. As of last year with the Los Angeles Rams, who saw a bunch of backs come in and out. They saw their young kid who stepped up. Was it Kyron Williams? Is that his name? And then we saw, Royce get some tick. Darrell Henderson get some tick. They kind of were dealing with some injuries when Williams went down. Is it Williams? Am I getting that right? And Royce had a pretty decent game against the Cowboys. But it's not his running or just his running ability or a trait he brings for power that I think could potentially keep him around. 164 special team snaps last year for Royce Freeman. That 164 is more than Malik Davis, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn combined. Yeah. More than them combined. And it may seem minuscule in the grand scheme of things, right? Like, oh, man, Scott, you're talking about special teams. You're right. But we know how much special teams holds weight around here in Dallas, right? We do know that Bones Fossil, any down roster signing that is made, they're going to Bones. Hey, can this guy do this for you? Can he play special teams? Well, played a bunch of it, had 3 tackles last year. Here's a big one. No penalties. I got to throw that in there because they tried to move a certain guy out there at special teams, and the dude was just a penalty merchant. It didn't work out. So his special teams experience or ability, whatever you want to call it, it's another valuable asset to his game. You got the power, you got special teams, and you've got experience. He's been around since 2019. Interesting left, though. He doesn't have a whole lot of mileage on him. This is a very intriguing signing, y'all, that I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on moving forward in training camp and preseason and whatnot, because last year, Ronald Jones, he dealt with the suspension. He never got a chance to get going, and he got injured. And he had off-field issues. Royce doesn't have off-field issues. He's not injured. He does bring a different element, which is power that the Cowboys don't have in regards to complementary situation. And he plays special teams. And he's experienced. We look at the Cowboys running back room. Oh, not that one. Or that one. Why am I just all over the place today? Here we go. We look at the Cowboys running back room. Rico Dowdle, Malik Davis, Snoop Connor. They don't really have the power guy. Royce is the power guy. They don't really have the experience guy. Royce is the experience guy. And I want you to put a pin in this conversation because I kind of teased this the other day, but they could lean on this acquisition. I'm not saying they will. Just saying, don't put it past them. But before we get into all of that and break down a little bit more of the running back room, let's talk to our guy, Patrick No C Walker, on this week's edition of The Scientific Method, baby. Good morning, good brother. What's up with you?
What's up, King? How's it going?
Man, it's going. It's Friday. You know, I'm still a little high on the news that you gave me. Potential situation. I'm still hyped about that.
Oh,
you know,
a little bit of a, yeah, okay. A little bit of a teaser. We can't give it to him yet.
No, I can't give it to him just quite yet. Plus, you got draft next week, so it's a good time to be involved in all things sports commentary right now. What's up with you?
That's fact. Oh, I'm good, man. No complaints. Living life, you know. Family's good. Kids are healthy. I'm out here in North Carolina. You know, every once in a while I come out to North Carolina. My youngest son, we're celebrating what will be his 13th birthday, man. Time is flying, bro.
That's 13. Crazy. My oldest will be 13 this summer, believe it or not. So shouts out to the teenagers that's we're about to have.
Yeah,
happy birthday to the
teenagers, man. Thank you, brother. We'll pray for each other because we got some teenagers going on.
Well, pray for me right now with the newborn. That's what I need.
No, listen. What you need is sleep, but you ain't gonna get it. So ain't no point in me praying for you to get it, my brother, because it ain't gonna happen.
It ain't, bro. It ain't. Anyway. We also can pray for these damn Cowboys in the NFL draft because they need a lot of things here. They only got X amount of picks, but they did address a need, and they did it in the most Cowboy way. right before the draft with this Royce Freeman signing, and I wanted to get your opinion, your take on this thing, and how he fits with the team.
Well, first of all, let me be clear in that the signing of Royce Freeman is in no way going to impact how the Cowboys approach their draft board, not one iota. And as a matter of fact, it doesn't necessarily completely impact how they might approach free agency after the draft, depending on how the draft falls to them. But what they're looking at in Royce Freeman is they're looking for a power back. They're looking for somebody that can complement Rico Dowdle, or can be that complementary piece for Rico Dowdle. And what the Cowboys lost in Ezekiel Elliott, they're not getting that level of play in Royce Freeman, but the style of play is what they're looking at. They're looking at the fact that in the post-Zeke era, the 1 year post-Zeke last year, they had redundancy. There was too much redundancy. Yeah. We talked about this quite a bit. Rico Dowdle and Tony Pollard have basically the exact same skill set. They're almost the exact same build. So where was the sledgehammer for your sword, so to speak? It wasn't present. So with Tony Pollard now in Nashville with the Tennessee Titans, Rico Dowdle back on a 1 year deal, Cowboys are looking for that hammer. And as far as builds go, that's basically what Royce Freeman is. That is, he's not the tallest dude, but that is a unit when it comes to mass. And he can do a lot of the dirty work, A gap, pick up blocks, B gap runs. He's not going to give you much of anything as a receiver out of the backfield, but that's why you have guys like Rico. That's why you have guys that you need to figure out like Deuce Vaughn. Hunter Lidke can give you that flexibility. But again, none of these names that I'm saying right now are going to stop you, and Millie Davis as well, shout out to Millie Davis, but none of these names are going to stop you from going into this draft saying to yourself, hey, we need a running back that's going to be here for now and later and be able to produce. So, I see what they're trying to do with Royce Freeman. Doesn't move the needle for me, though, as far as what they need to do going forward.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't move the needle. But they've done this before. And I'm not saying this guy is in the same ilk as say, a Run DMC or Alfred Morris. Those guys were way more successful prior. But they brought in kind of that bigger back that we kind of looked at as, no big deal. Next thing you know, Alfred Morris is on this team for a couple years. He's running as a second mate. Run DMC, he got a chance, and he ran with it over 1,000 yards. Talking about Darren McFadden. Last year it didn't work out with Jones, but this is right up their alley, bringing in kind of that power type of back on a short-term deal to go with a stable or a duo, or as Stephen Jones says, a complementary approach. So I'm with you. I don't think it should deter them from anything they want to do from a running back thought process in the draft, but him having that special teams, 164 special team snaps on top of being an experienced guy in the league, on top of having an asset that the Cowboys don't have right now from power, I don't know. I'm not ready to kind of just scoff at him. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying the nation. At him and the possibility of him being around, once September gets here.
Yeah, not anything to scoff at, because there is some value there, like you mentioned. And when I say it doesn't, and this not you're saying it, but for those that might take it the wrong way, when I say he doesn't move the needle for me, I mean he doesn't move the needle for me in regards to how are you approaching your draft board? Right. I'm going to approach it as if Royce Freeman is not on the roster. If at post draft, if you're saying, well, how are you looking at free agency? Well, I'm not going to put a strike through on a name like Ezekiel Elliott for a guy like Royce Freeman. Like, I'm not willing to do that. Does that mean Royce Freeman doesn't have a shot? No, that doesn't mean that, because like you said, he could come in and possibly make at least some kind of enough waves in training camp and preseason in that he earns a spot, especially in a Cowboys running backs depth chart that has so much unproven talent. And here's a guy in Royce Freeman who's been in the league since 2018, Denver Broncos, former third-round pick, played for the Panthers, the Texans, and then the Rams just last year. So he has a ton of snaps, and like you said, he also has a ton of special team snaps. So one thing we do know, that if you're going to play running back 3 for the Cowboys, you're going to have to play special teams, or you're not going to get on that active roster, period. And this is where a guy like Deuce Vaughn struggled, not only in the special teams aspect and continuously being on the field for special teams in some capacity, because he's he's too small to be an effective blocker on special teams. But then guess who's in the way of him returning kicks? You got a Pro Bowl returner in Kevontae Turpin. So that means Deuce Vaughn would have to impact the game offensively, but when given the opportunities offensively, he didn't do much of anything. So the potential is still there, but it doesn't feel like it's coming together. He's going to have a huge camp. Malik Davis wanted to see him take some real strides in year 3. He did not do that, and he lost some of those opportunities to Deuce Vaughn, who was struggling. Yeah. right as it stands, the only name in that young version of a young section of the running backs from behind Rico Dowdle is Hunter Lipke, who I really do have a lot of promise for Hunter Lipke. So all things considered, like you said, whether it be Derek McFadden, Alfred Morris, the attempt on Ronald Jones that didn't work out, and now Royce Freeman, this is right up their alley as far as, middle of the calendar veteran acquisitions that they hope pan out. And on 2 occasions, Run DMC and Alfred Morris, it panned out for what they needed it to be. Last occasion, not so much. Will this one pan out? We don't know, but it's not going to impact what they do in the draft.
Got Patrick No C Walker, DallasCowboys.com joining us as always for our scientific method. This is the final scientific method prior to the draft, so I kind of want to do some draft superlatives per se. I say ish because they're not all superlatives, but it is what it is. So let's kind of have a little fun with this thing here. All right. First one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, real quick before you continue, Tony, I see you, and I've said the same thing. Cowboys already owe Zeke. Well, they're on the books for $6 million dead money for Zeke right now. You might as well bring him back and give him the veteran minimum. I mean, you might as well. He's on the books. So again, we'll see how it all shakes out with the draft and going into training camp. I don't believe Ezekiel Elliott signs with any team until training camp. I think it's a situation where he's going to feel it out, see if there's some injury at the position around the league, and that'll kind of give him some leverage here, there, or anywhere. And I would look for a July signing for Ezekiel Elliott. But if I'm the Cowboys, I'm not ruling that out. I do want to see Royce Freeman now that he's on the roster. Let me see him in minicamp. Let me see him at least start training camp, see how it goes. But I would absolutely keep Ezekiel Elliott in a break glass in case of emergency scenario. Okay.
That opens up a whole different can of worms, Pat, that I'm going to have to talk to you about a little bit later. Maybe I'll talk to the fans about it too. But that opens up a different set of circumstances heading to this damn draft. But let's get into the superlatives. First one. What is your most underrated draft need for the Dallas Cowboys? Or what will be the most underrated draft need for the Dallas Cowboys?
So much is rightfully being said about positions like linebacker, offensive line, which goes to center and left tackle, running back, like we just finished talking about, interior defensive line, what's going on with Mazy Smith? Is he ready to take those keys, et cetera, et cetera? I'm going to go cornerback. I don't think there's enough people talking about the cornerback situation. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about behind the big three. And now, thanks, Kendrick, I can't say big three without the obvious line coming right after that, right? But nonetheless, you got Trayvon Diggs coming back from injury. That's a huge return. Right. It's a huge return. You cannot overstate the importance and the impact of Trayvon Diggs, especially when he's returning to tandem with this version of Deron Bland, who already had a breakout year as a rookie, but then last year he becomes an NFL record setter. So that tandem is arguably the best takeaway tandem at corner in the entire NFL. You were able to retain Jordan Lewis. That's a bigger keep than most people are giving them credit for. Jordan Lewis got back to prime form. He's also back to forcing takeaways, and his confidence is there. His foot is holding up. So your big three are right there. Here's where it becomes a little bit concerning for me, or a lot concerning for me. Behind that big three, well, first of all, one of your big three, he's going to need some time to get back to form. Okay, it's very unlikely that Trayvon Diggs is going to be the record-setting Trayvon Diggs effective the first weekend in September. You're going to have to give him some time. So that's one. Two, Stephon Gilmore, still a free agent, still unsigned. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. I believe, and I've said this before, the Cowboys need to get Gilmore back in this building. Will that happen? It's uncertain right now. He's not signed with any team. Maybe he's feeling things out. Maybe he's waiting for teams to see what they can or can't get in the draft before he determines where he's going to go based on NFL needs around the league. I think the Cowboys need to get him back. But if they don't, then my concerns escalate, because what do you have behind your big three? Eric Scott, a lot of potential, a lot of promise. He absolutely has the dog mentality, but spent the entirety of his rookie year in development. Okay, so you don't have any game film on him from year one. Nashawn Wright, inconsistent. All right, so he has the length. He's long, lengthy, rangy corner, but we've seen him flash, and we've also seen him be compromised in coverage. Great special teams guy, but as far as being able to depend on him from a snap-to-snap basis defensively, there's something left to be desired there. And he's going into a contract year. So, you have to have that in your mind as well. Will he be here in 25? Will he not be here in 25? So Israel Mukuamu, who I'm a huge fan of, as far as I would like to see them play him more at corner. But for whatever reason, they don't, unless it's a playoff game against Tom Brady, and then he helps shut down Tom Brady, and then what do? Move him back to safety? I don't know what's going on there. But can't put Izzy in the conversation for cornerback. So all told, still behind your big three, and then put the asterisk on Diggs because he's going to need some time to get back to form. Behind that big three, if Gilmore remains not in Dallas going forward, you got too much to figure out there. So I think that you have to go into the draft feeling like you got to get a cornerback. Now, with a premium pick, absolutely not. I'm out on a premium pick on a cornerback. But there are names on day 3 that would make me feel pretty good about that. So, it's something that the Cowboys need to kind of focus on, like a Josh Newton out of TCU, for example. He was also one of the official 30 visits. He's an outside press man. Ryan Watts, outside press man who can play some zone. That's the Texas Longhorn. And so look at those day 3 guys, and that could be, 6th rounder, maybe a 7th round flyer, or a high priority undrafted free agent. But they can't come out of next weekend without addressing the cornerback position, not even double dip. So if you got one in the 6th round, but you were also able to get 1 or 2 in undrafted free agency, however you do it, just make sure you do it.
So that's interesting because I didn't include this when I sent it to you, but as a surprise first round position, it sounds like cornerback could be, but you're ruling it out as a premium pick. So if it's not cornerback, which I do think is a very sneaky, underrated need, what would be a surprise first round position for you that the Cowboys could take this year?
Surprise first round position would be wide receiver. And I say that because wide receiver is a need. It's a sneaky need. It's not as sneaky as cornerback because there are actually conversations being had, media wise and between like myself, you, KD, our friend Joey. I mean, Matt Owen, who's probably in the chat room as well. Like, we're talking about wide receiver being a need. So I don't think that that's sneaky and underrated like cornerback. I just don't see enough people talking about cornerback, and it makes me uncomfortable. But wide receiver, the Cowboys have enough of a need there that if, the right, and I don't want to say the wrong guy, but if the right guy fell, could it be a CeeDee Lamb type situation? Now, I don't see that happening, but then again, we didn't see the CeeDee Lamb situation happening either. So, I mean, obviously Marvin Harrison is not going to fall down to the 20s for you to have an opportunity at hell. So, it's, we're not saying that at all. So, and it would have to be a Marvin Harrison type situation in order for it to be equivalent to a CeeDee Lamb at 17. But you're not going to see Harrison or Neighbors. You wonder if forgive me if I mispronounce the name, Rome Odunze out of Washington. You wonder if he or Brian Thomas.
We briefly lost Pat real quick. We'll get him back on here, Cowboys Nation. We'll give him some time to come back in here. But he basically was talking about how wide receiver would be a surprise first round pick. It's funny because you listen to draft, whether it be the media scouts, whether it be scouts like us. I don't know if it would shock me or surprise me based off of it, but it is 100% up there in regards to needs. When we did our top 5, it made our top 5. I think we got Pat back here. Pat, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Went through those North Carolina tunnels?
Yeah, man, we're going to blame NC Barbecue for that. Blame everything on NC Barbecue because it's not really barbecue. But to wrap up my point, I mean, there are some names there. Brian Thomas, Adonai Mitchell, Troy Franklin out of Oregon. They don't draft Georgia players, but I'll throw it out there anyway because go Dogs. Ladd McConkey.
I love Ladd McConkey, man. Oh.
You gotta love Ladd McConkey. He's the best footwork in the entire draft. But as far as the complete package, obviously there are better complete packages like a Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. But McConkey, his only knock is that he's basically a true slot. You're not really going to see him playing outside at the NFL level. But if you're talking about someone who has the ability, effective immediately, to be arguably the best slot receiver in the entire league, that's a Ladd McConkey. But, I mean, again, I think that the Cowboys do need a receiver. So that would be one that it's not impossible, depending on who that player is. It would have to be pure BPA, someone that is undeniable, like a CeeDee Lamb staring them in the face. So is it impossible? No, because CeeDee Lamb's situation exists. But is it likely? Not at all.
All right, here we go. We got another one here. This first round pick, we're staying in the first round, will have me doing backflips.
You said first round?
First round. Yep. Cowboys first round selection will have you doing, in a good way, you're doing backflips.
In a good way. I thought about this for a second, and I kept going back and forth between like 2 and 3 names. But then ultimately, I realized that each one of those 3 names were on the offensive line. So let's go offensive line.
All right, let's do
it. I'm just going to wrap it up into a bow, into a package that says offensive line. If the Cowboys get an impact offensive lineman in the first round, I will do backflips. I understand that there might be a better skill position available, whatever the case may be. You are now in a situation, if you're Dallas, that you were in going into the 2011 draft, where your offensive line was, basically in shambles for the most part. You had Romo running for his life. So what do? You get Tyron Smith, and then over the course of a 3 to 4 year draft, you get Tyron Smith, you get Travis Frederick, you get Zach Martin. Okay, we're back at that situation again. You have Zach Martin, but as I wrote in my high-low piece as it relates to the interior offensive line, it's time to start talking about the post-Zach Martin era, both contractually and age-wise, okay? I don't know how many times I can fire this warning flare, but I'm telling you guys, start talking about the post-Zach Martin era. Maybe that's a T.J. Bass situation. Maybe it's a Brock Hoffman. We don't know. But the fact that you don't know, there you have it right there. So your offensive line, you have to figure out left tackle. You have to figure out the starter at center. You have to figure out the post-Zach Martin era at right guard. Too many question marks. So whichever direction you go, whether it be, and again, they don't draft Georgia players, but okay, a guy like Amarius Mims, right? A guy like Talisa Fuega out of Oregon State, Matt Goncalves out of Pitt. A sleeper, I would say, that some need to keep an eye on, Dominic Pooney out of Kansas. Shout out to Jayhawks, Rock Chalk. That's somebody that I don't think fans are talking enough about as a possible, day 2 selection or option for the Cowboys. So, or let's talk about the Thanos in the room, Jackson Powers Johnson. Okay, let's talk about going back out to the edge, Graham Barton out of Duke. I mean, these are names that if any of these names were called, except for Pooney, that would be a reach in the first round. But outside of Pooney as a first-round option, any of those other names I called in the first round, if you pull the trigger on one of them, I don't have any complaints, because you are now telling me and showing me that you're ready to start rebuilding this offensive line for the next decade.
Man, there's definitely a handful of them. Actually, more than a handful in that first round I'll be great with. The interior guys you named, I would 100% do backflips on. But I just want, for immature reasons, I want the Cowboys to draft Pooney in day 2 or 3 of the draft, just so that
Shut up, man. You are out of hand.
I just want to be immature. That's all. No, but no, seriously, the dude.
I guess what does it say about me that I knew what you were talking about? You are out of hand, bro.
Hey man, I gotta wake up.
We about to get FCC.
No, we're fine. We're fine. We didn't go there. We didn't go there. We're fine. Use your imagination, Cowboys Nation. All right.
Facts.
All right, one more, or not one more. Actually, 2 more, if you will. All right, we did first round. We've been talking about these first round picks. Give me your second round pick that will be more digs in terms of success than, say, the Boss Mans, Tristan Hill, Randy Gregory, Schoolmaker, TBD still there. But you get the point. These second round picks for the Cowboys over the last decade plus have been hit or miss. And even when they quote unquote hit, those guys end up leaving. Connor Williams, Cheetah Bear Woozier, these type of guys. So give me your second round pick that you think could come in here and have Diggs type of success. Pro Bowl, stick around for a second contract.
All right. Y'all ready for this? It's T'Vondre Sweat.
What? Oh, wait a minute here. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole point. For me, it's T'Vondre Sweat. Hands down, the best 3 tech in the entire draft class. We're not even talking about him. One tech. Yeah. We're not even talking about Sweat as a possible second round guy, if not for the off the field issue that he has going on right now, which we won't comment too much on because it's a legal matter. We'll let it play itself out. But the fact that is present makes him kind of like a ready-made package for the Cowboys in the second round, because he will likely won't fall too far, but there's a chance that he falls out of the first round. But also, what do the Cowboys love to do in the second round? They love to take risks, right? So your Kelvin Josephs, like you said, Tristan Hills, and, Randy Gregory's and guys like that. But when you look at the situation, Sweat will be coming in. Number one, he will be absolutely destructive from that defensive line interior. It's not even a question. Now, that being said, what's the rotational situation for him? Well, it's fantastic as you look at it, because Neville Gallimore, he's out of the building. He's in Miami. Yes, Chauncey Golston is still here, but it's a contract year for Chauncey Golston. What does his future look like? And can Chauncey use this contract year to finally break out? You don't know quite yet. But then guess what? We're not talking about this enough, so let's talk about it. Oso Digizua, whom I am a massive fan of. I think the Cowboys need to go ahead and lock him up early. They don't typically lock their guys up early. I'm impressed with what they were able to do with like Trayvon Diggs and Malik Hooker last training camp, but typically they don't. So if they don't lock up Osa early and he ends up departing for another team, then guess what you need? You need more interior line power and presence, and that's what T'Vondre Sweat would give you, not only now, but more so in 25, more so in 26. So I feel like that's a situation where Sweat could come in, be an impact player from minute one, and have enough reps to show that he's dominant enough to earn a second contract. So I believe that he would be one of the second-round picks that you actually look back and say, you know what, they rolled the dice on that guy, and it worked out.
I like it, and I'll add this to it too. If Dan Quinn happened to be here, I might be a bit skeptical in the sense of I don't know that he valued adding more size, but I don't know if he valued developing that said position. Remember, he brought in Brent Urban, then he drafted Big Bo, and then he cut 2 years later. They drafted I call him Big Country out of Arkansas, John Ridgway. Then he's cut the same season. Last year, they draft Mazy Smith to play that big role, and they said, hey, dog, we actually value your pass rush more. You're in the first round. We need you to do some more pass rushing things, and that didn't work out. Zimmer? No. Mike Zimmer's a whole different story. Zimmer values those big fat boys, and he wants them to two-gap. He wants them to take up these blocks behind or in front so the guys behind him can have clear lanes to run down. So if Zimmer happens to be around for more than a year, or if the next guy that comes in, if Sweat, obviously between the ears, maturity and things like that, if Sweat is used in that manner, which I don't see why he wouldn't be because he's huge. I don't think you can ask him to be a pass rusher. I think he could eventually be a guy that sticks around, but it'll come down to me between the ears. The talent's there. The drive. Yeah, I don't know 100%. Him, so I need to know that he is driven to be great.
100%. And for all intents and purposes, this most recent off-field issue is obviously it's a red flag, but it's not something that ties into other off-the-field issues that he's had. I mean, think about it. Have you heard before this DUI allegation, have you heard of any off-the-field issues with T'Vondre Sweat? I have not. Yeah. Not to say others have not, or haven't, but I have not. So I think that, well, number one, I know that the football is there for him. It's just a matter of him growing up and mentally and on the field. And Mike Zimmer, there aren't many better defensive minds that you would rather put a young-minded guy like that with, who has such a high ceiling and such a high, ability to come in and impact the game right now as T'Vondre Sweat has. I think if you put him with Mike Zimmer, who absolutely loves his big boys, no Diddy, down low, then, you'll be good. Now, I will say this because a couple of good comments in the draft, not in the draft, but in the chat. Someone mentioned that, potentially Chauncey could see some snaps at edge. I like that. I had that thought as well. He has the size to be able to do that. You lose Dorrance Armstrong, you lose Dante Fowler. Yes, You're looking for Sam Williams to step up, but you're going to need someone complementary to Sam Williams on the opposite side bookending. So I could see Chauncey getting some snaps there, maybe add some value there as an edge rusher. Switching really quickly to the linebacker, I know people are looking at Peyton Wilson out of NC State as I sit here and have this conversation in Raleigh right now. I cannot state enough. Yeah, I cannot state enough how much I love what that former Wolfpack guy brings to the table. But I also, in that same breath, I cover a Cowboys team that has recently lost Sean Lee to injury for his career, lost Leighton Vander Esch to injury for his career, saw Bruce Carter's injury kind of derailed by injury. The Cowboys have had an abysmal run. Jalen Smith they've had an abysmal run of linebackers with exceptional talent who cannot stay on the field. So when I look at a guy like Peyton out of NC State, that just it's such a boom or bust pick for me. And I think that because of the Cowboys' bad luck at that position, I think that he could go to another team and be healthy for 4 straight years. And we'd be like, oh, look, he can stay on the field. But then he mess around and come to Dallas, and knock on wood, he wouldn't make it through like the first, 18 games of his career without losing some games to IR. So it's just bad mojo at that position for the Cowboys as far as staying healthy. So for me, I'm not out on him, but it's just too risky for me knowing what I need and knowing what I need right now. So, yeah, I do love Peyton Willis. I really do. But, Edrin Cooper's a name. Cedric Gray, I don't think enough people are talking about Cedric Gray out of University of North Carolina. I don't know. I'm sitting here in North Carolina. I'm talking about all these guys.
A lot of these backers, yeah.
It can't be a coincidence. Okay, Cedric Gray, another guy, Tar Heel. He's a guy who can cover sideline to sideline. He can go downhill if you need him to go downhill. Then you have guys like Jalen Ford, Texas, Tyron Hopper out of Missouri. So you have other valuable names who don't present the injury and medical concerns that the Wolfpack does.
Yeah, there's 3.
That's just my 2 cents of that.
There's 3 injury guys that super duper talented.
Jeremiah Trotter, that's another one. Linebacker. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., that's another one. Linebacker, absolutely.
Yeah, there's 3 injury guys that have the talent, but what a lot of Cowboys Nation would be like, man, one is Wilson, the other is Brooks, and the other is Latu. The defensive end. Yeah, Latu. All of these guys are uber talented, but they come with that injury risk.
Yeah, and it's a brutal position to play, and it's hard to stay on the field as a linebacker, but at the same time, you're tasked with doing that, especially for a Cowboys franchise that has had such a bad run of getting exceptional players at that position who simply cannot stay on the field. I mean, this goes back to the Dat Win days. Shout out to Dat Win, right? It's the Dat Win days when you have this exceptional talent in the former Aggie who his career was cut short. Guess what? By a neck injury. So the Cowboys need to, and I get it. Yes, he can play ball, Peyton, out of North Carolina State. He can ball. The kid is remarkable. But we're talking about bringing him into a Cowboys organization who has proven that they just don't work out that way. They often don't work out that way. So when you have other options, other equally capable options, like a Edrin Cooper, like a Cedric Gray, like a Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Out of Clemson, when you have other options who don't have those medical flags, I'm simply saying that I would rather go in those directions because of the organization we're talking about.
All right, man. We got one more. I want your final Cowboys draft hot take prior to next week when we'll talk. Because the next time we'll talk, we'll have the first round pick we're going to talk about. So give the Cowboys Nation your final Cowboys draft hot take for the scientific method. I know you'll probably have another show prior to that, but here on the scientific method.
Listen, that's a perfect segue because you just said that, next time we'll be talking about the first round pick. Well, hot take, the Cowboys might not have a first round pick because there's a possibility they trade out of the first round entirely. And here's why. The Cowboys are entering this draft with only 7 picks, but this has to be their de facto free agency because outside of Eric Kendricks, they haven't brought in anybody from outside the building except for Royce Freeman. But again, that doesn't move the needle. Eric Kendricks moves the needle, so he's the only needle mover they brought in from outside the building in free agency. So being that this has to be their free agency by way of the NFL draft, you need more than 7 picks. And the only way to get more than 7 picks is you're going to have to trade back once, maybe even twice at some point over the 3-day draft. I could see that, especially considering how robust the offensive line options are when you combine left tackle prospects and center prospects. There's a great likelihood that the Cowboys could trade out of their current spot. Maybe they go back to like 31 or 30, 31, 32 and still have a great shot, and they will, at getting their starting center for the future, getting their starting tackle for the future. But if someone presents a package that's good enough that gives them, first couple picks and one of the first top 3 picks in the second round, and they feel like they can do that and still get whomever they were going to get later in the first round anyway, I'm just saying don't take that off the table. Now, of course, That'll piss off a lot of people who are tuned in to see who the Cowboys pick on day one. And, of course, logistically speaking, it also means the Cowboys won't have the fifth-year control over whomever they pick because that's only exclusive to first-rounders. But I'm simply saying, as far as hot takes go, ladies and gentlemen, don't be stunned if the Cowboys trade back and that back puts them out of the first round entirely. It's possible.
I love that hot take, Pat. And I think this would be, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, and if you remember correctly, this might, if they were to do that, that'd be the first time they've traded out of the first round during the draft since, Julius Jones, where they took him in the second round, passed on Steven Jackson back in the Parcells era, if you guys remember that. Now, they didn't have a first-round pick after that in 2009. They didn't have a first-round pick 2019 because they traded it for a receiver. But during the draft, they haven't traded out the first round, if I'm not mistaken, since the Steven Jackson situation, Julius Jones back in what's that, y'all, 2003 or something like that? Long time ago.
It's early 2000s, yeah. Long time. So it's possible. I don't think that they'd be looking – I don't think they're going into the draft with that being their plan A. I think their plan is to see how the board falls, but I do feel like they are going in with the thought process that we do want to trade back. We want to trade back, but they want to stick in the first round. Yeah, I think they definitely want to trade back in the first round, but I think they want to stay in the first round because this is a team that, again, it hasn't done well, doesn't have a great track record of signing their guys ahead of time. So I think they need that fifth-year control. I think this team needs that fifth-year control. And because of that, I don't think they drop back out of anything further than 32, but I'm just simply saying don't take it off the table because depending on who's still there, might give them enough confidence to do that.
Man, great stuff per usual with our guy Patrick Nosey Walker of DallasCowboys.com. Hey, enjoy your stay. Happy birthday out there in North Carolina to Junior. Is he a junior? I don't want to call him Junior if he ain't a junior.
No. Okay. So Patrick II, no junior. Patrick II actually turns 20 in June. This is my baby boy turning 13. This is Xavier. So everybody say happy birthday to Xavier Walker, and I will make sure he sees all of these blessings when he gets out of school today.
Happy birthday. You gotta do the, you know what I mean? You can't get Stevie Wonder. You can't do it regular.
Happy birthday to
just make sure you got the head. You gotta do the head thing with it.
Yeah, whole thing. Right. You gotta have the flavor. Gotta have the flavor. It's all about the flavor.
All right, bro. Appreciate you. Happy birthday to X-Man. And we'll be talking. I know we'll be talking over the next few days for a totally different thing. But we'll be talking Cowboys as well. And by the time we're talking next week, maybe we'll have a first round pick. Maybe we'll talk about trading out of the first round. But either way, can't wait to talk about it with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just hit me, and I'll let you go real quick. It's funny because scientific method, my son's name is Xavier, Professor Xavier. Y'all check out X-Men 1997.
The way you just put that together.
And that's how we rock it. I'm out.
That's Pat. That is the wordsmith, Patrick Nosey Walker. Yo, like, if y'all not follow him on Twitter in regards to, like, I'm not playing. This dude should be a rapper for real. He just eviscerates people with his words on Twitter. So I tell people, man, you want to get into these fights with Pat on Twitter, be my guest. This guy just knows how to do it with his pen and paper. So, and in this case, I guess with his fingers and the keyboard or whatnot. So, make sure y'all follow my guy Patrick Nosey Walker on Twitter. Make sure y'all follow his work on DallasCowboys.com. And during the season, if you guys aren't aware, we have Pat here as well, and he gives us the inside scoop on what's going on down there at the Star. He is our insider. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to come back and get back into this running back situation. Also, because I haven't talked to y'all all week. Barely talked to y'all last week. We're going to take a couple calls, too, man. Come on up in here. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line. And let's wrap.
You're listening to A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
In front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. We'll do it live.
In the words of Cody Rhodes, Dro, get ready to learn the words of kingdom, buddy. Dro says, if we draft Wilson or Latu, I'm becoming a Dallas Renegade fan. Brother, You know the Cowboys are going to draft an injury guy. It happens. Now, I'm going to say this. Between those two, I mean, I'm not going to be a Dallas Renegade fan. I like those players. Just don't give me the Luke Schoonmaker injury guy, you know? If you're going to draft an injury guy, draft one of them type dudes. Don't draft Luke Schoonmaker. I digress, man. It's the Cowboy way. Just get ready to learn the words of kingdom, buddy. That too, Tyrone. Tyrone said, or our problem child. Now, last year they didn't draft the problem child. Like, can we go back down to second round picks real quick? It's either a problem guy or an injury guy. Old guy, if you count Schoonmaker as a, you could throw a couple things in there with him, but man, they do too much with them damn second round picks. And the funny thing is, from an off the field standpoint, Schoonmaker was clean as hell. It was the on the field issue with him. But wishing him the best. Hopefully he elevates and he's tight in too. But I got reservations, even going into year 2. Anyway, let's get back to this running back talk, because we talked about it a lot at the beginning of the scientific method. I brought up this room, the running back room, and the other day I talked about how, look, I don't expect the Cowboys signing of Royce Freeman to alter their mindset, but I'd be damned if I put it past them. And it's because of what happened last year. Now, granted, they thought they had their guy in Tony Pollard, right? But all off season, all draft season, I kept saying, hey man, great opportunity to bring in a guy to tandem with TP, and then when TP walks, because I knew they wasn't signing him back again, you've got your now de facto RB1 or lead back, and you draft another one day 2, 3 of the draft again, or whatever, right? Sign a guy. Maybe they even got to draft a guy. Sign a guy. But they didn't do that. They didn't do the obvious thing. They took, and I don't have him here, but Deuce Vaughn, you know? They took Deuce Vaughn, and he couldn't figure it out. He couldn't get on the field. Wouldn't shock me if they got passive again. Would not shock me if they got passive again. And by that, I mean not taking a guy in the top second round, third round, fourth round. They don't have a fourth round right now, but waiting to like round 5, 6, or 7. But they did bring in a variety of dudes when you look at the 30 visit list. And I don't know how this is for other teams, but for the Cowboys, you really do have to pay attention to their 30 visit list, right? They brought in the big names, the Jonathan Brooks, the Trey Bensons, Jalen Wright, Braylon Alley, Bucky Irvins. They brought in those guys. We've talked ad nauseum about Brooks and Benson and Wrights, and we haven't really touched on Allen as much, but he's the big power back, goes about 6'1", 2. I think he slimmed down roughly 230 something, but big boy, right? Young, very young back. But these are kind of the big names. And if they were to take a back, I do think early, I should say, it would be one of these guys in the first 3 rounds. They don't have a fourth rounder right now. I think the sweet spot for running back for me is between 3 and 5. And maybe you can get lucky later, but 3 and 5 is that sweet spot. Still feel like Jonathan Brooks. It's just screaming Dallas Cowboys pick. I'm just saying, it's just screaming it. But it's not the Brooks, the Bensons, the Allens, the Bucky Irvins, even the Jalen Wrights I want to focus on today. It's those last 3 names. Jace McClellan, Rasheen Ali, and Amani Bailey that I want to talk about. Because Cowboys Nation, if they do say, hey, we'll wait till day 3. They look at all of their needs and say, man, look, defensive tackle, linebacker, offense, center, left tackle, like all these wide receiver, maybe they value that. Maybe they should. But if they look at their stack, if they look at value, if they look at needs, and they say, man, we can wait on running back, which they've shown to do, you kind of got to pay attention to the guys that they brought in. And I want to talk about the Alabama product, Jace McClellan. Very interesting prospect, because everywhere you see, whether it be in mock drafts, whether it be in draft reports or what have you, he's a guy that you'll get late day 3. Some might even argue undrafted free agent. I think he's a little better than undrafted free agent, but I have him as a day 3 running back prospect. Cedar Hill boy, by the way, down the street. Shouts out to him. He's from around the way. But Jace McClellan, man, high cut runner that bounces off defenders. Big boy, right? 5'10", 5'11", 220, 21 pounds. So he has that kind of power back size. I think he has a little bit better feet than power back once he gets moving. He's like a locomotive. Once he gets moving, you can see him kind of have a little bit of a burst. But I would qualify him as a more patient runner than a bursty runner when approaching the line of scrimmage. And I don't think that's a bad thing, especially when you look at a team that doesn't create super highway running lanes. When I'm talking about the Cowboys, we don't create these highway running. So you kind of got to let your blockers or let the blocks develop or let that second level kind of get less muddy and then boom, get going. We don't have this amazing zone scheme. And I'm going to talk about another guy later that if we did, he'd be perfect for it. I do like his vision at the line of scrimmage, but I don't think he's good out the backfield as a pass catcher. Kind of stone hands, in my opinion. And that could limit him as to like an early down back. His pass blocking is a lot to be desired. There's some reps in there that, boy, if you get him on an island, like if you get him one-on-one, he was a decent help guy, but one-on-one, he was whiffing a whole lot. And again, that could take him out of being a guy that you have on third down. And I'd imagine him not being a guy that can catch the ball at the backfield consistently, him not being a guy that can pass block is one of the main reasons why you see him kind of falling into that day 3 range, on top of not really having, this home run ability, even though he can make some plays. Like he made Cooper miss right there, but he doesn't have that long speed ability. And it's weird when you look at an Alabama running back, these guys are usually uber productive in college. That's really not him. He doesn't have this crazy production in college, but the traits, right? When I look at the day 3 guys, I look at the traits, and the traits for McClellan: size, 5'11", 220, power, bounces off of guys, good vision at the line of scrimmage. He kind of fits, and I see why they brought him in here. We aren't going to create a whole lot of lanes via scheme. So you got to have some patience, and you got to have a little bit of twitchiness to you, like boom, right there. A little bit of twitchiness to you to create. I'm not calling him an amazing creator. However, I like his running back. He looks like a running back. He feels like a running back. I think he's a little bit underrated, not calling him one of them top 3 guys, but I could definitely see him being a day 3 pick for a team in the NFL, and he can come in and have some success. He reminds me of Dameon Pierce out of Houston. Right? I don't look at Dameon Pierce as a guy that's going to catch the ball at the backfield much, but I look at him as a hammer, right? And when you're talking about the Cowboys, they don't necessarily have a young thumper in their backfield. And when I say young thumper, hell, I can call it old, but Royce Freeman is not the young guy. Royce Freeman, he'll be here for maybe a year. But McClellan, maybe he could be a young thumper that you pair with a guy in 2025, 2026 and beyond. Freeman's a Band-Aid, let's be real. McClellan would be a hammer for them. So when you look at, again, the 30 visits, and you try to dissect these players, 6th round comes around. I would not be surprised if they said, you know what? We got our eye on Jace McClellan, and they pass on some of these other guys. Cowboys have shown that they would do that, for sure. Let's wrap to Banks. What's good, Banks? How you doing, man?
What's going on, Sky, man? I ain't called in. That's not even.
Well, I haven't had the phone. I haven't had the phone lines open for quite some time. So.
Okay, yeah, man. I'm going through. I had a little Cowboy detox, man, to kind of stay away till it got close to the draft, man.
No, I feel you.
It get kind of stressful.
We're in a very weird situation right now between with Cowboys and draft, and I always say this point in time is for the Cowboy degenerates. You know, we'll get more of the kind of casual fans later on. You got to be a Cowboy degenerate so to even partake in anything right now.
Yeah. So I'm just easing my way back in, man. It's just tonight just so much with the draft and figure out where we should go, who they should go for first round offensive line. I've been tuning in, here and there, but I'm just starting to ease my way back in. But I just want to say, man, if we get a running back, man, which I do believe they're going to go running back in the draft.
I believe so too. I think the conversation is when.
Yeah, when. And in my opinion, I think they should go, of course, not first round, but I think they should go earlier because they don't have a fourth round pick. I definitely think they should go no later than the third round, and that's just my opinion. I'm quite sure some guys, like you just pointed out, Jace, like that maybe in the later round, around the fifth, in the fifth round, they had a couple first round picks. But if I don't want to be in a situation like last year. Look how late they got Deuce, man, and all the guys they passed up on. So
that's what worries me. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just seems like, man, but then you starting to think about it of maybe, positions we need, so to say, or, maybe would be better, man. It's just like we just got so much, man. Everybody's looking at offensive line. We're looking at linebacker, and it's just like, it's a possibility that it might be a wide receiver that it's just like, man, they just can't pass him up in the first round, whoever it may be. Certain guys are there, but it's just like, but I know wide receivers pretty deep. You can find guys, in the second or third with that, but I just feel like it shouldn't be any later than the third if you're going to go running back, especially if
I think it depends who's still there. See, our problem is not having a fourth round pick. So you're right, because that not having that fourth kills me. Because there's some guys I like guys like Garendo, Marshawn Lloyd's one of my favorite backs, Ray Davis. Hell, we don't know where Blake Corum's going to go. I mean, there's so many backs to me that are clustered in kind of that 3 to 5 range that I feel like, yes, 3 is kind of where you start having a conversation and you could take one and be fine, right? 4, I think, is probably going to be that super sweet spot. 5, now you start to sweat a little bit and you say, okay, who's left here? We might have to go ahead and take one by now. And once you get to the 6th round pick, maybe you're left with like guys like Steele from UCLA, even if he gets drafted. Maybe McClellan is still there, whomever. But I do think at some point strategy is going to have to kick in once you get around that 3rd round, and or maybe you try to get back into the 4th for one.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And don't get me wrong now. If you can hit on a running back and, just say they do wait to the 5th, 6th, 7th round to go running back, if you can hit on a running back in those rounds and they can come in and hit the ground running and maybe become the lead back at some point in the season, then, hey, I'm all for it. But, it's like, what's the chance of that happening? You know what I mean? I know it's possible. Yeah. It's possible. It's possible of it happening and not happening. But
Tony Pollard was a 4th round pick.
Yeah. TP. Even though I believe he probably should have got a little bit more time early on, but of course Zeke was, he wasn't getting that time over Zeke. But I think this is the golden opportunity for them to go later round. If they do go that route, around the 5th, 6th, or 7th, for them to get more playing time. If you look at the running back room. I'm just waiting to see what happened, though. But that's all I got, man.
I appreciate you, Banks.
Yep.
Enjoy your weekend, man.
All right.
Running back is one of those interesting situations, because kind of like how I have here, the when will they is the question. I don't think it's a matter of will they. It's when will they. Absolutely, I think are taking a running back. But as we get back to the list and we look at the 30 visits, and I talked about Jace McClellan, another running back, and maybe, not even maybe, I think probably the best guy of these 3 that we're going to talk about here, Rasheen Ali. Really interesting cat, man. Really interesting cat. Super productive out of Marshall. And what I mean by super productive, the 2 years that he played in full, 2 of the last 3, 40 career touchdowns. Ali goes 5'11", 206, very similar build to TP, who's actually kind of a bit of my comp here, is actually Tony Pollard. A creative runner with, I think, really, really good vision. Borderline, if you want to call it, great vision. Smooth as butter, I think, on the second level. I wouldn't say he's uber twitched up at the second level like a Jonathan Brooks, but he's more smooth. He's got burst from the jump. When we talk about McClellan as more patient, Ali, I'm not saying he lacks patience, but he is way more bursty from the jump. I'm very curious what his 40 time was. He didn't run it. But because of that burst off the bat, he can get behind his pass. Momentum will carry him into power. I'm not calling him a power back, but he showcased that a lot, I think, on the goal line. Ton of goal line touchdowns because he's just boom, through the hole fast, and he's only 206, and I use only. But because of that burst, he can carry some defenders. Either way, explosive player, has some explosive playability to him. Does he have 80-yard touchdown to him? Maybe sometimes, depending who's out there. But I think he can still hit some home runs. One of the more underrated aspects of his game, though, is his pass catching ability. I think he's got real natural hands, and that's another area where coming out of college, from a pass catching standpoint, not saying he's a receiver like TP, but I think he can be utilized as a weapon as well. Again, I keep using the word TP because he just reminds me of him. He's like a one cut, stick your foot in the ground runner, and that's what TP was. So runs a little bit high, and that, I guess you can kind of knock him for being a one cut guy, which means he's kind of regulated to a lot of zone type of situations, and the Cowboys didn't run a whole lot of that. But he did in college. 124 of his 212 rushes last year came out of zone concepts. And that's what will kind of make me go, okay, is Dallas going to learn from their mistake last year when they had zone type runners and they didn't use them in that way if they were to take a Rasheen Ali? He's got some mileage to him. 600 carries in college, or touches, 600 touches in college. So he's had a lot of I want to say injuries on him, but he has a lot of banged upness to him in a sense of 600 hits. You know what I mean? Now, he hasn't been an injury guy, but I do wonder, something I've been looking at a lot lately is how many carries have these running backs come out of college? How many have they had? And is that going to impact them in the NFL? We'll see. 11 fumbles, though, may be his biggest knock. Between 2021 and 2023, that's a lot of fumbles. So he's got to work on his ball security. But I do think if they were to take a guy like Rasheen Ali, I think he could be, and this is something I always talk about, I think he could be a lead guy in a stable, right? Lead guy as a complimentary role more than a Jace, because I don't think you can take it. I think you can keep him on the field 1 through 3, meaning first down, second down, third down. I think you can keep Rasheen Ali on the field more so than the Jace McClellan. I wouldn't qualify him as a uber, pass blocker. I wouldn't say that, but he can catch the rock. And how I look at it is you can develop that. We saw with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was a poor pass blocker for a few years, then he developed into a really good one. So I think Ali's sneaky. I say day 3. I mean, I'm talking 4th round, maybe, 5th, the latest. I think this guy has top 10 running back potential in regards to in this draft. A lot of people might have him right outside of that, but I love that they brought him in, made me pay attention to him. I really like his tape. I really think this dude could right now, if you get him in the 4th and they get in here at camp, yeah, I think he can be your RB1. And again, I'm gonna keep on saying this about the position. We're no longer in an era of Emmitt Smiths and Curtis Martins, and you know what I'm saying, where these guys are touching the ball 25, 30 times a game. It's no longer. So when I say lead back, I'm like, this is a lead back in a duo approach. This is a lead back in a complementary or running back by committee approach. I think Ali can be that, man. And I think he has all 3 down ability, 100%. In fact, I think I like him better than the Bucky Irvin. I mean, and that might sound crazy. Some people got Bucky Irvin as RB1. So, Rasheen Ali, Cowboys Nation, I'm here for it. Let's see what you got to say about him. Yeah, the workhorse era is over, in my opinion. Sky, are the Cowboys out of that era? They should be. I haven't seen them utilize the workhorse thing since 2019, 20 maybe, 20. We'll call it 20. Ever since 2021, they've had the tandem approach of Zeke and TP. Then last year, they didn't necessarily have the tandem approach, but they didn't have a workhorse approach either. Tony Pollard averaged like 12 carries a game, so he really wasn't a workhorse back either. So I think they're out of it. And if you listen to Steven, he $1 short, a whole year late, talking about, oh yeah, the league is turning into a complimentary running back situation. Steven, I've been telling you that for 3-4 years. In fact, I've been telling you that since you paid Ezekiel Elliott 3 years before you needed to. Maybe it's 2 years. Nonetheless, the writing was on the wall where this running back situation was going. You just late, like y'all are with everything. So yeah, I think they are over the workhorse era, but they could be tested though. They could be tested, Mel, in the sense of say they take Jonathan Brooks in the second round. There is part of me that Jerry will say, oh, no. That's a second round pick. That young man needs to see the ball a lot. There is a little bit of me that thinks that. The hope, though, is you see what happened with Boss Man. You see what happened with Sam. They didn't just throw them dudes out there and say, you're getting all the snaps because you're a second round pick. But there's a little bit of that. And we know what we call that? There's a little bit of that politics, Mel. Jerry Jones walks to the meeting. Hey, Mike. We don't like what this doodle was doing. What'd you say, Coach? Yeah. This Rico Doodle. We done spent a second round pick. Old people ain't got no teeth. I'm telling you, man. He be in them rooms. That's all I'm saying. I'll scoff at it if you want. What's up, Los?
Yo, good morning, Sky, man. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man.
Blessed morning. Hey, man. It's crazy, man. All season is draft is like what, 3 weeks away almost about. Like, man, this off season goes by fast.
Draft is next week, brother.
Oh yeah, hey, shoot, I'm just all over sports right now, man. I'm with my Dallas Stars, Mavericks. Hey, we're just having good. Hey, at least I have promise, and they're gonna compete in the playoffs. But hey, that's a story for another day. But I'm gonna just say one thing, Scott, to you. I'm gonna just admit this offseason has probably been the most quiet offseason I can remember in quite some time. Well, literally months ago was Jerry saying we were all in. But Howard, let me say this to this Cowboy Nation. That doesn't mean we're not going to be competitive next year, all right? I mean, we still have Dak, CD, Parsons, Diggs, etc. So my mindset is we're not doing anything this offseason. I'm not going to buy all the cookies and candy that we're going to be this Super Bowl team, right? But, I still have faith that we're going to be competitive, right?
Sure.
So my mindset in going to this draft and everything is how many plug-in players can I get on this O-line and linebacker room? Because we can clearly see we need depth at those two positions and maybe another running back to add to that room. But I'm not going in the mindset like, oh, we got to get a Parsons or we got to get this big star to make this team more competitive. Because we're all right. Like I'm gonna be a bit. I'm not gonna, whatever. We're a great team, right? Can coaching and can we actually play ball when it comes to playoffs? That's a question that seems to be remaining for the next 20-something years. Hopefully we can get it. But, I mean, the team we have now can go against any team that's lined up. And I just want to let y'all know, Cowboys Nation, don't panic just because we didn't do shit this year. I'm sorry to say that word. But I really think if we're going to this draft, you see all these old linemen and these linebackers in this draft, you gotta hit on 2 or 3, because if you miss in this deep of a roster or this deep of a draft class, Sky, I have no idea what the Cowboys are doing. And that's all I have to this morning, Sky. You take it easy, keep being blessed, my brother.
Los. So if they do miss, what does that mean for the season? In your
well,
opinion?
that means
if they have a 2023 draft, what does that mean for you?
That means you're asking Dak to be hero ball for 1 year?
No. I'm talking about like from because you said we're a great team, we're fine. So if they miss on this draft, what does that change your opinion?
That changes my opinion, as in like, because I don't. All right, sorry if I had this, but it changes my mindset. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Yeah, it just changes my mindset. Is in like, what are we building to? Because, like, I'm gonna admit, Dak. I don't know if this is his last year or not. I could care less. I mean, Dak's been my quarterback for a while. I'll still defend it to this day. But I mean, business is business on the side of a ball. But if we're not helping the next quarterback that we're going to put up, like, what are we doing? You know? Like,
Los, you should be a lawyer, boy, because you talking around that point, boy. I'll give you one more chance. Yeah. If they miss on a draft, ultimately, what does that mean for the 2024 season? And one in which you believe this team is great anyway. Does that change your mind on this team being great going into the 2024 season?
No, okay. Not really. No, I mean, it might be like a 1 or 2 win difference, but no, not really. Even if they miss this year, I just feel like it might be like a 10-5 or 11 in some season, but it's not much of a difference I see.
All right.
My thing is, I'm preparing for years.
You're looking past 2020. You're looking past.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Because like I'm gonna admit to you, Sky. I mean, it doesn't matter who we put back there. If you cannot give that quarterback protection or a good game plan or something to scheme around, you cannot. You ain't going nowhere. And that's all. Like I said, we can put Dak out the team right now and put Trey Lance, but what do we have behind him that's protecting him or our building blocks, as we say? So that I just want to let them hit on this O-line, hit this linebacker room, keep adding depth, and if we miss out, we miss out. But that's the Cowboys' fault.
Indeed. Appreciate you, Los. Salute. I tell you what, man, they cannot afford to have another 2023 NFL draft, not this year. Because they look, man, broken record. I'm sorry, y'all. But because they don't do anything particularly well or anything in general in free agency or in the trade market, you can't afford back-to-back years where that happens. And you need your 2023 draft class to take a massive leap, right? Now we're putting pressure on Demo coming off an ACL. Love Demo, but we got to put pressure on him coming off an ACL. Mazy, hey, gotta make sure he get right. You know, I do trust Zim, though, to get Mazy right? Schoonmaker, I'm just keeping it a bean. I just don't see a world where Schoonmaker elevates past a Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson, to me, is one of the best tight ends in the league. I don't see Schoon doing that. So that might just be a wash. You know? Traded a 5th-round pick this year for a 5th-round pick last year in Eric Scott Jr. They re-signing guys, so maybe they don't really see Eric Scott. So you need that 2023 draft class to step up. And if you don't get, I mean, I'm not saying I agree with you, Los. I'm not asking for Micah Parsons' impact. I'm not saying that. But you damn sure need some impact from not 1, not 2, but your top 3 picks. This can't be a situation where we get 3rd rounder and he's Fehoko or he's Nashawn Wright. Can't happen. And I know Fehoko was a 4th rounder, but we don't got a 4th. Let's wrap the B-Bird before we talk about our last running back here that the Cowboys brought in for a 30 visit. By the way, man, shouts out to Double Move in the chat. I see in here. I see Vach bro in the chat. Appreciate y'all. What's good, B-Bird?
Hey, what's up, Sky? How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Long time no talk. How you doing?
Yeah. I try to leave it alone in draft season. I let the people that kind of study draft or follow it, get on or whatever. But I had a couple of questions. Just one, really. So my biggest concern last year at the end was that we couldn't run the ball, nor could we stop the run.
Yep.
Do you think that's going to be okay? What I'm afraid of is that we do get the personnel, but the scheme is still not where it needs to be at with deception or pulling or whatever, trapping or whatever other the better teams do to get their running game going. Because I really think that we were so Dak-centric last year that if you stop that, it was a wrap. Two things that could stop that, a good defense and weather. But so I just want to ask you, what makes you feel like, and I'm going to get off after this, what makes you feel like the running game is going to be different in 2024 than it was in 2023, man? And I'll talk to you later. Appreciate you.
I'll use your example. You said if they get the personnel, you're still not sure because of the scheme. I'm with you in the sense of I don't trust McCarthy's running scheme. I don't trust Solari. I don't trust him. But let's play in this world, right? Let's play in this world of you got the personnel, meaning you got somebody on that damn line, because that's what matters most. So whether you got the center, which I see you, Vach. We maybe talk about that later. You got the center or you got the left tackle, and you got the running back to complement the room that fits what you want to do. So if they get the personnel, maybe it's Trey Benson, whomever your favorite running back is, it didn't come in here and impact right now. Whoever you think your favorite center or left tackle or combination of both can come in right now. I think the running game can be better based off of the personnel. Do I think it's enough to carry or not be one-dimensional in the playoffs? That will come down to what your concern is and my concern. Coaching. That'll come down to coaching. I don't know that I trust McCarthy in the playoffs, even if they show us that, hey, man, let's just throw a name out there. Let's just say Trey Benson, and you get these linemen. Your run game is pretty decent, right? And I'm not talking about volume. I'm talking about the how. I'm talking about the yards per carry, goal line gets situated. I worry we get into the playoffs and McCarthy says 84, 88, 87. Let's go do this. And they completely ignore that part of the game. So, B. Bird, we got to put a pin in it. I've been saying this all off season. I think the Cowboys are going to get to the playoffs. I do. I think the Cowboys will be a playoff team, whether that's 10 wins, 11 wins, whatever you want to call it. How? If we get to the last 4 or 5 games of the season, Dak in the passing game is having to carry us. All year, this running game has been shitty. We have no momentum on that side. Same old thing. Same shit, different toilet. But 11-6, 10 or was 11-6? Yeah, 11-6, 10-7, 12-5 again. Your run game is one of the more respectable ones. You got some momentum heading into later in the year. I'm not talking about momentum like what happened in Washington. No. I'm talking about you've been building this thing. He talks about McCarthy, hey, tiers, right? Or trios of the season. First 4 games, the next 4 games, the next 4. Those last 4 games, you've built up a respectable running game. Then I feel a lot more comfortable going into the playoffs. But to me, offense alone, not talking about defense, I have to see how the Cowboys approach this run game going into the playoffs. If it looks like the last few years, all bets are off. Now you're just hoping for lightning in a bottle where Dak and CD and Ferguson and McCarthy's play calling can carry you for 3-4 games. And I don't believe that to be the case, pending what happens on the defense side of the ball. So, again, we're talking about some of these day 3 running backs. We touched on Jace McClellan, like him. Rasheen Ali, I think the best of these guys. This one, though, very interesting. Amani Bailey, running back out of TCU. Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you.
And I want y'all to talk back with me on this. I'll break them down real quick, but 5'7", 202. He's a lot closer to the build of Darren Sproles than the guy that Darren Sproles mentored. Vach, can you click your button real quick? Did you hear what I said? This is what I mean. I'm not for this particular type of back because we got that particular type of back already. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of, smaller non-lead back types. I'm looking for lead back types. I'm looking for early down hammer types or complete back types. Bailey good though. Like, don't get me wrong. Bailey can scoot. He got some serious bounce and I call sweet feet. Ridiculous jump cut ability in the hole. He put on an absolute clinic versus Oklahoma, man. He sent half of those dudes to the rink. The hell you mean to the rink? He was putting them on skates, ladies and gentlemen. One of 3 players per Dane Brugler with 70 forced missed tackles last year. And you can see it. Dude is just crazy with it when it comes to his hips being loose, his feet. I mean, his feet are crazy fast. He's way more, crazy quick. He's way more quick. I mean, look at that bounce in the hole. Way more quick than he is fast. But he's a little guy. He's a little guy with heart, right? Like, he's tiny, he mighty. But I'm not, he's not a guy I'm out there to, hey, you got to block. Don't want to do that with him too much. Ran a 4.6 140 at the combine. I don't think the tape is 4.6, but I wouldn't say it's much better than that. Probably in the 4.5 range, which is plenty enough speed, but I wouldn't consider this, long speed that you'll see with like a Jonathan Brooks, in my opinion. And I do think you have to have a defined role for an Amani Bailey. But I set all this up, I break all this down because they took a little back that had very similar traits last year. Deuce Vaughn was very similar. Deuce could make guys miss in a hole. He can get small, quick feet, didn't have long speed, catch the ball in the backfield. Not a guy you want to block. But he was 5'6", like 175 pounds. Amani Bailey, that 5'7", 206, that's a compact, muscled up dude. I think this is a guy that's more equipped to potentially, or maybe gain them more trust because of his size than maybe a Deuce Vaughn. So maybe I'm being messy. Maybe I'm looking at this situation. They're bringing in another similar style back to the guy they already have that they drafted in the 6th round. So I want to ask y'all, because I didn't think they did Deuce justice last year. They set that boy up for failure. But got to take everything into consideration here. Amani Bailey, for those who may not know, I'll continue to run some of this. Or Deuce Vaughn, Deuce Vaughn way more successful in college. So we're talking about production. I mean, it ain't even close. He's one of the most productive running backs of all time. But I'm just talking about traits. I think the traits are similar. Amani Bailey or Deuce Vaughn. That's a conversation you got to have, right? If you take Amani Bailey 7th round, 6th round, or undrafted, you got to be like, hey, you're battling Deuce. And both of y'all not making the team. So I'm curious. Deuce's pop gets a check. They'll be okay. We need, why not? What? I'm now a bit confused here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, INC. This is exactly what I'm saying. If you draft Bailey, I do think it's break the pool stick, best man win. I don't think both making the team. No way. Hey man, all these dudes Joe been working. I'm not questioning a lot of these guys' work ethic. They could work their ass off all they want, but not everybody gonna make the squad. You know what I mean? Negative on Deuce. Even got a landlord in the building. Shouts out the landlord from Alabama, MC Hammer. Deuce Vaughn or Amani Bailey. Because they haven't really brought in, if we look at the 30 visit list, he's the smallest. Bucky Irvin, you can, but I think Bucky Irvin a lot of people view him more as a guy that can handle more of a I won't say full-time role, but maybe a lead role. Not me. I'm not the biggest Bucky Irvin guy, but I'm not saying he ain't talented. I agree, Forever DC. This is why getting the O-line stronger is so important for all running backs. 100%. look, I am all for addressing the position. I think they will address the position, but if you don't fix up front, will it really matter? There may be like 2 backs where I think they can create consistently 2 or 3 where you don't have to have the most amazing run blocking offensive line, but you need to have a respectable line for anybody, in my opinion. Period. All right. We got 562 on the horn, then Splenda Poppy, and we're going to wrap y'all in the chat and get to these supers.
Hey, what's up, Sky?
What's up with you?
Not too much, man. My name's Tony Bryce.
What's going on, Tony?
Called him a few times.
The voice is starting to come around, so I think I might remember. But what's up, man?
Oh, not much, man. I wanted to ask you, man. Hey, did you ever look at that? It's a running back / he's like a safety from Utah. Did you ever look at his tape?
Not somebody in the chat. If you got a name, let me know. Running back. So is he a running back? Full time or safety?
He plays both ways. So he has highlights, from playing running back. He also plays like safety.
The Vaki guy, is that it, Professor O?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I haven't. Give me the rundown on him. Let me see. I can pull something up while you're talking.
Man, this he can catch the ball at the backfield. I think he was like a receiver in high school, and at Utah, man, he's
number 20.
He lit him up. He lit a lot of teams up, man. Just
number is that?
Huh?
Man? I'm watching some film, trying to see what number it is. It's 28. Then this dude, he moved like a safety. All right, I got some film up here. Go ahead. He moved.
Yeah, man. I kind of like him, man. Like in the later rounds, man. Cause I think he can be like a Tony Pollard type, catch the ball at the backfield. He elusive, but also he can play special teams with this, safety background. So I kind of like him, and I kind of like as far as backs, man, I like Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, man. I think he's young. Yeah, he's kind of gadget player, right. But I like Allen, and I think, man, that second round pick we picked last year, man, I think we should have drafted Osiris Torrance with that pick, man. I think if we'd have had him instead of Schoolmaker, I think that would have went a long way to help our offensive line last year.
Okay, I'm intrigued. You have my attention with this kid. I have to go check him out.
Yeah, man, I really think he got some. He don't really like to play running back. He prefers to play defense. I saw an interview of him, and he kind of told people at the combine and stuff, he kind of prefers to play defense. But as far as he getting away from dudes.
Yeah, I'm out on it then. So Kelvin Hicks brought up my thought process. If I'm going to change a guy's position, I'd rather do it with Malachi Corley. I brought this up a few weeks ago. I think we were talking to Aisha. And I'm like, look, I looked at the 30 visit list, and Corley was the only wide receiver brought in the midst of a whole bunch of running backs. So I'm like, I think this guy could be a running back. And I wonder if they might view him as that, and they wanted to bring him in to see if that's something he could potentially do. So if I'm moving a guy, I'm moving Malachi Corley to running back.
I never thought of that.
Yeah,
that might work.
I'd do that. Now the only problem is with that is not everybody gonna have that thought process. Most people are going to keep him at receiver, which means he's gonna get taken probably in day 2. So you'd have to really jump to get him probably 3rd round, and then you're taking a 3rd round receiver moving him to back. So maybe that's probably not going to go over by a lot of people. But if I'm moving a dude, that's the guy I'd move.
Okay. Yeah. I was just a thought, man, in the later round, maybe 5th, 6th round pick.
I'm gonna go check him out.
That guy,
yeah.
Special team. I think with the special teams aspect, I think it'll go a long way. Yeah, I think he could probably make a team.
I appreciate it, man. I don't want to mess his name up. Sion.
Hey, have a good one, man. Have a blessed day, bro.
Yes, sir. I believe his name is Sion Vaki. Now I got defensive tape here too, but we don't got to pull that up and watch the defensive tape. I just wanted to see some of the running back tape. Landlord said we got a little arm dude on the team. think I heard this dude pop up early in draft season, and I kind of just glossed over it, honestly. And maybe because he's not a true running back, but interesting. Splendid Poppy, good morning, man. How you doing?
Good morning, bro. Good morning, conversation.
Good morning, bro.
Man, dude, this is a fucking great ass. Sorry, excuse my language. It's a great ass show though, because it was a question I wanted to ask you a while back, and everyone is the Big Bird. Everyone, I mean, y'all are on point, man. Good shit, I'll tell you that. But
y'all killing it with the calls for sure.
Scheme, you said it. Coaching. I wonder, Boston College coach, what he's gonna do, what he's gonna bring, or what is he gonna bring a hammer and a sword like the last one, or what's going on? What's telling us that? Trying to figure out what scheme he does. Is that going to tell us what running backs he might, or what running backs we might pick? You know, who's going to have a say so? What do you have to say so? I know it's a lot of questions, guys, but the last caller just wanted to get them out.
That's a good question. So initially, when he was brought on, my thought process was he's replacing Will Harriger, who worked with quarterbacks. This guy also mostly he worked, I think, with tight ends before. He was offensive play caller. Did a lot of running things with Boston College. So maybe he can come in and give he's a different voice in that room. I don't know how high up he can reach, though. That's my concern, Splendor, is that let me mute you here real quick. My concern is that how big of a voice can he have? Because I think McCarthy and most coordinators and play callers are stubborn. They're going to do what they want to do. And McCarthy isn't a guy that veers towards the running game. But if this dude can at least get the ear of Brian Schottenheimer, who has the ear of McCarthy, then maybe he can bring something different to the table from a running back standpoint, or running game, standpoint. I tell you what, real quick before I move on, one of the guys we talked about, me and Vach, the other day, I didn't bring up that I meant to bring up, that I brought up, but I meant to bring up the coach, was Christian Mahogany. I looked at Christian Mahogany, the offensive lineman, the guard, as a potential pick for the Cowboys if they wanted to beef up the interior. And he coached him. He would know him more. So if he likes him, maybe that's something, if they're looking to change up the run scheme, he's a guy that knows it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I've been thinking about that for a while, and I knew I called in late about it, but it was the right show. I knew it was because the way y'all were talking about everything on the run scheme and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I really hope they give him a lot of say so. They brought him in for a reason, So let's see what happens.
All right. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Y'all have a good day.
You too. Thank you, brother. Hey, Landlord brings up a point that I could tie into why this whole offseason is so damn complicated. And before I do that, let me pull up these supers. If we got any. I ain't reading them the other day either, so maybe I'll read some of those the other day. Was it the 17th? Yeah, I'll read some from the other day. Landlord said, McCarthy. He says, he's going to throw. That's why we need a receiver. See, here's my problem. Not with the receiver, because we have receiver as a need in our top 5. My problem is all of this lame duckness to this season creates future issues. If McCarthy was signed for the next few years, if Zimmer was on board if we weren't dealing with, if y'all don't get it done here, we're moving to a different direction, we have no idea. The Cowboys, when they've changed coaches, have quite literally went so many different type of directions. My problem is, because you're not wrong in the sense McCarthy is a guy who wants to throw the ball. Well, okay, McCarthy's a guy that wants to throw the ball. What if the Cowboys go one and done again and they bring in Bill Belichick? Bring in Mike Vrabel. Bring in somebody that's completely different. And then this is something you can argue for all the picks, but that's just where we're at right now. And they say, hey, I'm okay with that. We need to be more balanced because we've seen under Dak Prescott, or maybe Dak's not here. That's another lame duck situation. Dak's not here now. You got a young quarterback. Maybe it's Trey. Maybe it's a rookie. And what happens when you have young quarterbacks? Got to run the ball. You can't drop back, throw it 40 times. So it's like you need so many different things, but on top of those needs, you don't have the mental security beyond that. The inverse of that, Mazy Smith. Mazy Smith, I talked about it with Dan Quinn. For as much as Dan Quinn helped turn around the defense, he also was a little bit lazy in regards to like development of the big guys. We talked about how, we draft Big Bo. We'll draft Ridgeway. We'll draft Mazy. We don't really want them to develop into that thing we drafted them for. Think I'm lying? Vach. Training camp a couple years ago. Second season of Big Bo. What was Big Bo doing? Dan Quinn said in his presser when they drafted Bo, hey man, we're gonna put Big Bo right here. Sometimes he's gonna play right here. Basically saying, hey, this is our nose tackle, this is our one tech. He's gonna keep linebackers clean. We're going to use this guy as a guy to soak up blockers so our running back, our linebackers can make plays. Next year, what happens? Big Bo got slim up a little bit. Me and Voch looking at each other like, this motherfucker playing 3-tech. Yeah, he playing 3-tech. They got Big Bo shooting gaps. 350 pounds shooting gaps like a 3-tech. Go get the quarterback, Big Bo. And to his credit, I think Bo had a pretty solid second season on the tape. Injuries kind of derailed a little bit. Third season, not enough for me. Big Bo gone. John Ridgeway did same camp, by the way. John Ridgeway was your worst defensive tackle on that team, but we knew, hey, this is a one tech. This is a 6'6", 330. He's a guy to take up blockers. Man, you gotta give him time. They ain't want the time. They said, damn that. Cut his ass by week 3 or whatever it was. Mazy Smith. Hey, man, that's our one tech. But as soon as we get to camp, what is Will McClay saying? We are intrigued with his pass rush. Be intrigued. Cool. Develop it. Cool. Why are we rushing it? So the inverse of the coaching could be Mike Zimmer for a Mazy Smith. Now, I don't know what the hell DQ wanted to do with you, Mazy. You ain't no pass rusher right now. Let's focus on what you did great at Michigan. So I think that could help. And either way, but no matter what happens, coach-wise, I think Mazy will be better for it moving forward. So that worries me, landlord, is that, McCarthy is a throwing coach. But he might not be here. And I hate this, that we're going into the draft and we have to think, all right, this guy might not be here, so we got to go with, like you say, whoever can make the impact at what he likes to do and maybe potentially miss out. We were having this conversation last night on Junior Colson. Junior Colson, to me, is a future Mike of any team. But Edgerrin Cooper makes more sense to pair with a Eric Kendricks. So if Zimmer is not going to be here long term, and Zimmer's like, hey, look, I think Junior could definitely develop into a Mike, but I might not be here. So go get me, and I'm not just saying Edgerrin Cooper, but Cedric Gray or whomever else to play next to him. And now next year, we're going into this thing and we're like, who's our Mike? Overshown ain't. We know Damone Clark ain't. Wanye talked about that. Well, we knew that from the jump. And whether it be Coop, whether it be those guys ain't either. Just a lot of it's a mess, man. And I hate that. There's no clear path to the draft, pun intended.
Super chat.
Let's get to a couple super chats from the other day that we missed when me and Vosh was on here. I believe Joe knows. Shouts out to you, Joe. Hey, Joe dropped the last 3. Appreciate you, man. He dropped 10 and says, Sir William Stilliam, Luca Vacci, the enforcer. What's good? Watching the NRL, National Rugby League. Help me learn how to pronounce Polynesian names. Rugby League, a cool sport. Check it out. All right, I will. Definitely if it's going to help me with these names, because boy. Vach, I hope you got the name sheet ready for day 1 of the draft. A lot of them going to be called.
Super chat.
Dro also dropped 5 and said, Brock Hoffman was downloaded from a Madden share file. Yo, so if I could be honest with y'all on Brock, y'all know my feelings on Brock Hoffman, right? I've said this to you guys a lot. I really like his attitude, his motor, the nastiness. Brock is a fun utility backup player to me. I don't want to mess that thought process up with Brock by going into the season. He's my starter by default. Bring in competition, please. But who the hell was on Brock Hoffman's PR team? I need to know. Y'all see his latest? If y'all don't mind, let me go try to find this thing. I almost tweeted this out. His PR team finna make me change my whole opinion on him. Not because of what I see on film, just because of these damn clips he keep on throwing out here. And he got the beats on. Brock, I'm gonna say this. Brock Hoffman know about this rap beef that's going on. Let me find it real quick. His PR team on 100. Here we go. Now if my computer break on me, and just know I love y'all, and I'll see y'all later tonight. Because every time I try to do this, it get funky. Boom, boom, boom. Let's do this. Let's change you up right. Actually, you know what? We can go right here and do it. Swiffle. Better not mess up. Bada bing. Bada boom. All right, that works. Listen to this, y'all.
Dope dealer selling dope, is you like that? Kicking doors, kicking in doors, is you like that? Young throw niggas selling lows, is you like that? All 24, you won't go, is you like that? Niggas from the bottom really like that.
Hey, Brock, you like that?
If you like that. Pop another bottle if you like that.
Hey, Brock. Brock Hoffman winning me over, dog. But is he allowed to? Vach, I need your opinion on this one. Is Brock Polynesian? He got a little island in him or something. His daddy swirl. Y'all heard the song. Brock be saying that in the car. Y'all know Brock Hoffman be in the car. All my says you like that. Cause you don't just post that on Twitter. I don't know, man. He winning me over, man. Hey, let me know, landlord. I'll make sure I come through. Hey, Vasha, that's the hardest special teams clip. It ain't the only one. We in overtime. Let's have some fun. Let me see, man. Brock be dropping. Okay, here's another one. Hey, Brock, come on, cut it out, dog. Here we go. Y'all ready? Nah, hey, Brock might be my center one. Y'all ready? Listen to this.
Yeah. If I can't do it, homie, it can't be done. Now I'ma let the champagne bottle pop. I'ma take it to the top. Show, I'ma make it hot, baby. Press the pussy, the stunting, I pop. Stand above, squeezing my pistol. I'm sure that I got my Peter Piper, pick peppers, and run rock rhymes. I'm 50 Cent, I write a little bit, but I pop nines. Tell niggas get their money right, cause I got mine.
Wait a minute, Brock. Tell get their money right.
What do you mean by that?
Who you talking about, Brock?
What do you mean by that?
You popping pistols? Brock. God damn it. Brock's my center one. I'm cool on it. Just off of these highlights and the music alone, if he's editing these things, because he got a podcast now. Oh, y'all that don't like podcasts, close your ears. He ain't focused. Center one, Brock Hoffman. I don't care what you talking about, Vach. I don't care what you talking about. I don't care what Duke talking about. Did you see his highlights? God damn it. He said he got that soul. I was just saying, man, I saw that highlight the other day and I was like, wait a minute. Is he allowed? All right. He going crazy though, just a little bit. Let me refresh this real quick. And you know what? I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to actually carry this conversation over later.
It ain't no thing to do my thing, it's what I did the best. I copped that crib and bought 2 chains and then I hid the rest.
We're going to cover this a little bit later on the round table. It's been a while, like 6 months. So make sure y'all tune in for that. We'll 100% be live on Watches. I'm going to see if I can get foots up in here as well. Whatever they allow me to do on Restream, so a Restream thing. So make sure y'all come through for that later on tonight. Like I said, 7 p.m.-ish Central. Heavy on the ish. Very heavy on the ish. And next week we back. Again, I don't really know the schedule. I'm just keep it a buck. I'm at the mercy of my buck. So it is draft week though next week. So we'll definitely be back on. I told y'all on Wednesday, me, Vach, and Foots, we're working on trying to do a live mock draft for y'all. The mock draft 1 point only, as Vach coins it. I love that, by the way. And we'll do it live. And we're going to try to treat this thing, or maybe it'll be recorded. I don't know. We're going to treat this thing like we in the war room for real. We ain't just playing around. Yeah, we all do those mocks where we just like, fuck it. Let's see if I can just get the trade 70 picks. Nah, we're going to try to be real with it, man. Have fun with it, but be real with it as well. Yes, sir, Gerald. Round table tonight, 7 p.m. Central-ish, 8 p.m. Eastern-ish. Come through. All right? With that said, fantastic stuff today. Have fun. Shouts out to Pat. If you missed that part of the show, run that back. We'll clip it. We'll have it on Saturday for you guys. And again, I'll see y'all later tonight, man. All right? Push that button on.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Shouts out to I almost called him Brock Lombardi. Shouts out to Vach Lombardi in the building. Shouts out to Brock Hoffman, our center one. Not because of what he does, but because his PR team's the best. All right, I'll see y'all later. Love y'all. We out of here. Peace. Oh, that's hilarious. Zach Frazier's about to drop his Graham Barton's about to respond. Graham Barton like, ain't no big three. It's big me.
Bomb Squad!